Now we are moving. This is the second video in RAW, and we are going to do The Politics of the Governed by Partha Chaterjee. This is again in your syllabus, semester 1, and the paper is Post-Independence Literature, where we are going to study the book The Politics of the Governed, and this book is by Partha Chaterjee. In this book, chapter number 3, page number 53 to 78 is recommended for your syllabus, and I'm going to give short notes on that. So in this article, we have made as a as a table form. These are the bullet points, and in this notes, I'm going to talk about table number 7. Now, before that, if you see, I have covered this earlier area here till here. We have covered. So this we have done. Now I'm coming to table number 7. So whatever there in 7 is, these are the from here actually. What from here I'm covering from here to, if you just see, from here to these 3 paragraph. What is there talked in this paragraph? Like, just listen. They did not resist physically. There were no violent confrontation, but the political balance having turned them again, they had to yield their place on the street and wait until the promises of rehabilitation marginalized. In this way, if you read out, you will find that these are the short notes we are going to do. So now what is that? The Operation Sunshine, the street vendors eviction. Now in Calcutta, South Calcutta especially, this the operation is done because there are number of vendors who has actually occupied the place, and the pavements have been occupied by the vendors, local vendors, and that is defacing the city. That is what the Municipal Corporation of Calcutta is giving, this kind of explanation they are giving. So just to remove those vendors and to make the city clean, now this drive is there, and the name of this drive is Operation Sunshine, the street vendors eviction. Now the street vendor situation: thousands of the vendors illegally occupy the major roads and sidewalk in the middle class southern Calcutta, that is Ghariyat, for the last 30 years since 1960. And you remember those migrants, those who came, they came in 1940. So it is almost 30 years now. Previous vendors successfully operated strategically in political society by mobilizing supports to maintain their vital, albeit illegal, source of livelihood. So earlier also, if you remember, we were talking about the when railway tried to make a wall, and then the local people of the colonies, they made a human chain in which women were in front, and then they stopped the railway to bring out the construction material on the site, and that's how they stopped. Now these kinds of efforts are going on. Now turning a tide, mid 1990s, pressure increased on the communist led government to clean Calcutta and shift in the balance the government need for capital and its declining support among the urban middle class. So then now the excuse, or you say the explanation, is being given by the municipal corporation or the Calcutta. The legislatures. They say that because of this defacing of the city, they are not able to attract foreign investors. So that's how this clean drive Sunshine is being launched. Now, Operation Sunshine in 1996, a well-planned, coordinated action led by the Minister Subhash Chakravarti to demolish all street side stalls, clear the sidewalk, and expand roadways. Administrative victory demonstrate that the state, when politically motivated, can act swiftly and decisively against organized marginalized groups. So vendors' response: vendors were organized, but since being abandoned by the left and the shift alliances to the opposite parties. Yield to power, they did not resist physically but yielded their place and had to wait for the promised rehabilitation. The political balance turned against them. And you remember before that, right, the people who are residing in this locality, they have shifted their alliance to the other political party, Trinamool Congress. And that is how the left parties are not supporting them. And that's how this demolition drive had been successful. So, what is that? The success in political society often temporary and contextual. This case introduced the next example, a group, College Street bookbinders that failed to make any headway in political society. So now the Operation Sunshine, the street vendors eviction. This final selection introduced a contrasting example of marginalized group in Kolkata street vendors who experienced a decisive shift in strategic balance for political power. Now, what is that? The prior situation from 1960s to 1990s, we are able to see that how this economic function it is going, how the political strategies are being implemented, and how the middle class views there. So we are able to see the political view, the economic condition of them, and then how from 60s to 19 this whole situation is going on. Right now in this Operation Sunshine, the residents of the South Calcutta Railway Colony Gate number 1 are being not given any kind of relief, and most of the vendors who were working on the streets were removed. So, but you know, temporary little success was there, but finally it was not complete success. Now, table number 8, College Street, the bookbinders of Daftari Para. This is very interesting. There is a College Street in the Calcutta, and there you will find that thousands of shops are there, and they are working as a Daftari Para. The book binding, and almost everything related to books is taking place. Binding, selling, purchasing, publishing, all things are there. So how this local activation, how this book binding sector, and how this unit size viability, and then wages and benefits are being going on. And here you will find in this whole table that those who are bookbinders, they are earning 600 rupees per month. And when they are demanding this they are demanding the high wages, then they are being denied. So initially the strike took place, and then they demanded 100 rupee increment, but increased in this wages, and it was not accepted. So finally, because in any industry, there is the capitalists are there and the labor is there. So the conflict started from the laborers. They demanded less working hour and more wages, and the capitalists, they were able to manage that conflict, and the negotiations took place. So what is that? The College Street, North Calcutta, home to the university and the Bengali publishing industry, a neighborhood of a labyrinth, lanes for the printing, production and selling books. Technological mix, coexistence of the modern prototype setting, large house and hand operations, letters past tiny units. Now, an entire municipal ward is called Daftari Para. The book binding quarters and 500 binderies employ 4,000 workers. Technological stagnation, bookbinding technology and not change over 120 years, since 19th century. So it's a very old, 120 years are there. These bookbinders are there, and unit operates on the bare margins of the viability and are frequently in competition. Labor structure, most until are medium or small, where owners are also workers employing only 2 to 3 employees. So there is not much. I mean, like owners and employees and workers are almost mixed. So wages, what is it? The 500 rupees to the skilled worker, women get 400 rupees. This way, this wages are there. Wages are very low. Nearly a third of the workers are employed or the during peak business. But I mean, people are satisfied. It's okay. People are working for a long time. So this here I'm pausing, and you please take a screenshot. And what are the other points you can? But almost it's a repetition, so you cannot. Already we have talked about this. So all these things are there. You can actually take a screenshot of this. Okay. Now please take a screenshot. I'm just stopping here. And in this way you will see this how even take the screenshot of this table also. Okay, now, so this way you can simply see, and before that we studied this Operation Sunshine. Now let's come to next table, because today I'm going to complete this. Now table 9, Daftari Para, the failure of class organization. So child labor is there, unionization and strikes is there, strike outcome, lack of collective identity, and then the final conclusion. So these are the paragraphs which are only talking about Daftari Para and their situation. So children called boys, regardless of gender, earn 150 rupees, and a month often food and clothes and place of sleep is being given them. Now then we come to informal sector, that is earnings are extremely low, and this is an unorganized industry lodged deep within the informal sector. Now, what is that? Attempts to unionized were led by Communist Party Marxist activities since activists since 1970 and 1990. 3 day strike happened, and then they demanded the 100 rupee wage increase. Now, since 90% of owners were also workers, strike became an attempt by the entire industry, owner and workers together, to put pressure. Because this is what is the specific thing is entire industry, owners and workers are together. So mostly those who are the owners, they are also working in the shop. So it's not a clear cut division of owners and the workers. So that's why this did not work. And then publishers threatened to outcome work. Strike ended within large boundaries, agreed to rupees 75 increase. So 75 rupees were increased, and then the strikes limited success and rapid decline highlight the difficulties of the Leninist strategy of working class organization in this mixed economic structure. And this lack of collective identity, the people are generally who are working here, they are earning more than 4,000 people are working. Men sleep in workshop and return to village. Women commute from squatted colonies and cannot afford train tickets. So politics from the rural connection, not their lives. As workers, they emphasized paternal care and loyalty over class solidarity. So here, basically, the working pattern, if you see, it is not clearly the demand wages, but that's a kind of they are open to after this working hours, they can use the place to sleep, to stay, and to I mean these shops are also working as a shops come resident area. So and then they demand that where they are working for a long time, the owner treat them as their children. So it's a kind of patronage is more than uh, honor, and the worker and the master relationship. There is no engagement with the apparatus of the governmentality. The bookbinders speak of ties of loyalty and mutual kindness. Failure in the political society. The bookbinders have not made their way into political society. That intertwining of the capitalist and petty mode of the production made class organization difficult. So, the child workers are there, low wages are there, industry classification is means it's a kind of informal sector, unorganized sector is there. The demand was for the 100 rupee, and the problem of the book 90% were owners and the workers are also. So that's not a kind of clear cut that division, master and worker. So that's why it's a different scenario you have to understand. Now we come to next point, and that is what the school teacher as mediator in rural political society. So then rural Bengal is where the left parties achieve amazingly stable success by converting the function of the governmentality into the local support source. Now achieving census, the core P problem is how to make illegal claim of the marginalized group consistent with the equal citizens and civic virtues, requiring a significant act of the mediation. Then the key figure is the school teacher by Anadi Bera. That is what we have already discussed. And then the school teachers was the most ubiquitous figure in the expansion. And in Puru Leah District 1997, most primary school teachers were member of the Communist Teachers Association and held his post in the party, peasant organizations and local government. Here you will find, that's the unique thing which I found here, that the school teachers are politically active and they are the party workers, and they take the frontline activities even. Okay, the communist wooed the teachers in the 1980s and become crucial to the new politics of the consensus. After the removal of the traditional landlord class, teachers were believed to have an ability to find commonly acceptable solution of the local dispute due to their unique position. Then they intercede with the bureaucracy using language of administration but claiming to speak on behalf of poor, acting as crucial implementators of the government policies. Now, no vested interest in the land and their agriculture income, sympathetic to the poor, familiar with the both and language of the peasants and language of the party. So, well versed in the legal and administrative procedure. So, teachers are one of the most significant aspect of the left parties. That is what a unique thing which I found, which I haven't seen. I mean, because in other states, I think this scenario is not there. Generally, teachers and other government servants, they keep distance with the politics, or particularly actively participating in the political activities. But here it was different. So, what is the role of the teachers? Salaried, and they are from pigeon background. Their education literacy is very nice, and they are influencer actually. They influence, and administrative knowledge is there. Community ties are there. Governmental functionality also they understand very well. Now we come to the role of school teachers in rural West Bengal political society. So what is that? They explain government policy and administrative decision to the village, and the villagers commonly say that the school teachers was the one they most commanded their trust, and government authorities frequently relied on their views to represent the local consensus, and they possess unrivaled power and prestige in the rural districts of Bengal. Now, the school teachers, the recommendations specifically local form of implementation of the government program and the authenticated list of the local beneficiaries and are trusted to carry out local opinion with them. Then what is this? How do school teachers mobilize? Rural poor mobilize not for member of the civil society but to apply right pressure on the government machinery and direct beneficiaries toward them. Then this frequently requires binding or stretching of rule. An existing process are historically excluded. Now, what is this political and civil society? Political versus civil society. School teachers mediate between domain characterized by the deep and historical entrenched inequality of power. They do not embody the trust generated among equal members of the civil community and align with the liberal civil society. The mobilization must produce a local political consensus that can affect the against the distribution of the power in society. So now we are about to actually we are coming to the end. This is table number 12, and after that we have table number 13, and then we will be reaching to end. So this way, you just read out these few pages, 10, 20 pages are there, and you just try to understand what is talked about this, and create your own opinion, understand your own opinion, so you can interpret things in your own perspective. Okay, instead of depending on anybody else. So by giving this first hand writing and exposing these text to you, my concern is to make you more aware about the actual this actual text. So I think we have done this now. Next, because it's a repetition of the thoughts is there. So political society renewal and a new global technologies of governmentality. So what is this? The renewal of the political society, focus of discussion, development, displacement, and then initial R and R analysis and literature and focus and theoretical basis, operational problem, conceptual solution, and right versus entitlement. So let's say what is that, and what is that? The immediate big question is how political society can renew itself, and who will next perform the mediating role given the failure of the teachers, turning attention to new global technologies of the governmentality that aim to spread development benefit more evenly and protect the poor. Driven by the international development agencies like the World Bank, reformulating policies due to project failure and resistance, focus on the resettlement and the rehabilitation, that is RR, populations displaced by the developmental projects. World Bank adopted a leading role in the formulation of RNR policy and incorporating into the project design. And what is that RNR? Following on the basis of the logic governmentality, an analysis of the displacement cost as a requirement was made by economic method of cost benefit analysis, and then defined for the project affected persons losing habitation, livelihood, and communities losing common resources, that is sacred groves. The emerged to expand the narrowly economic focus of involuntary settlement and includes factors like landlessness, joblessness, homelessness, marginalization, food insecurity, increased morbidity, mortality, loss of common property, and social disarticulation. The owns a great deal of capability approach advocated by the Amartya Sen, embodying a set of substantive freedom rather than just utilities, income, and primary goals. So, devising objectives, measure of capability, and practical procedure of training beneficiaries is not as easy. Now, recognizing the claim of the group like rail colony squatters and the street vendors, we have no legal right to escape they occupy. Now, interesting move to reorder numerous ad hoc solutions by distinguishing between rights and entitlement belong to the proposition who hold a legal title and land building and must be paid the legal stipulated compensation. So that's how, I mean, these are the factors Partha Sarthi, this um, writer is talking about the global governmentality, entitlement, and partition. So that's what, the persistent challenge is how these kinds of rights and entitlement are to be identified, validated, and how to ensure that compensation or assistance reach the right people. And the persistent slogan driven by the assistant and administrative failure is to ensure participation of affected people. Then effective participation is argued to turn involuntary settlements into the voluntary one, leading to more efficient, one-time and successful project despite higher initial costs. This mantra has become a clutch thread by the government funding institutions and activities, often ending in the liberal dogma of participation of civil society through NGO. So, what is this participation? The participation is seen as a category of the governance, a tool for administration, and participation has a very different meaning, seen as a practice of the democracy. Now, the author introduced three case studies of the resettlement, that is condition of possibility of the democracy as a politics of the governed, and Rani Ganj, a coal mine town near western border of the Bengal with Bihar, known for heavy smoke and distance fire. So that's how, how the public are there and how the resettlement can studies Raniganj and Haldia. These are the two places we will study how we can talk about resettlement in Raniganj and Haldia. So Raniganj coal mine, largest settled area, are prone to subsidence and underground surface fires due to decades of the indiscriminating mine. And then high level committee reported 34,000 plus houses in unstable areas requiring resettlement of 3 lakh people. No people have lived with the danger of the decades and how show little agency for the resettlement. Now, resettlement, the population of the safer local stabilization is expansion. And what is that? Rupees 20 billion is required. So, there are two places we are talking right now, Haldia and Raneganj. And these are the mining areas and how the people who are residing are unsettled and what is being required. Their land required for Haldia port construction, that is 1963 to 84, long slow marked by the numerous difficulties and court disputes. Now, not all qualified people were interested in resettlement plot due to the poor location and agriculture work. More than 20 years after land was taken, 1400 of the original 2600 families were qualified. So here, this Raniganj and Haldia port is that the land is being taken, and how what we are talking about the resettlement of the people. who were displaced. Rapid rise in the land rise in early 90s due to urbanization and to rush of applications for the old resettlement. Now land require new industrialization of Haldia 1988 to 1991 led to considerable organized agitation demanding resettlement. Decision 1995 to deal with the rehabilitation through Rehabilitation Advisory Committee. So these committees are taking place, and then we are talking about the Haldia and Raniganj displaced people's resettlement. So then we come to Haldia and Rajgarh, Raj Rajarat settlement. Now, phase two rehabilitation advisory committee gave all processing allotments in the grievances addressal done by the committee, including representative from both government and opposition, to formulate norm and identify genuine case based on the ground level agreement between political rival, assuming that represent in effective local consensus. And then we come to the used lottery for plot allotment to prevent favorable individuals. So in this way, you know how the committee was set up, and the land allotment is there, and that area rapidly urbanizing, land prices skyrocketing, and land scales were routinely under recorded in legal record. I mean, these are the challenges we can see. So, but what is the solution? Negotiated price. So the decision was made to acquire land as negotiated price to encourage voluntary resettlement. A land recruitment committee was set up to negotiate the acceptable price with the affected people. So in this way, especially the land was settled for, price was settled for those who were coming in the part of this resettlement plan. And it's very nice. We are reaching to the end now. Resettlement case studies: Rajarat, Rajarat, and the mechanization of the political society. So, included local representative of both government and the opposition, and people have formally recognized political representative whom they can use to mediate on their behalf, showing a place of political society in general political structure. Now, land owners were compensated with 3 month acquisition was virtually troubled, and then the process was more costly than following normal legal procedure, but it was faster. Avoid project delayed, increased cost, and absorbed by the project. Now, the negotiations took place outside the official price fixing, demonstrating that the political representative consensus on a negotiated price. The firm will work only if all factors have a stake in the success of the project. If not, mediators can wreck on the consensus. So this way, now we say the ground negotiations may not respect the principles of the bureaucratic rationality or provisions of the law. Non-qualifying person was included in the humanitarian ground. The political society has found a place in the general political culture where political representatives mediate effectively between the government and governmentality. So that's how, and now we are reaching to the end of the chapter. So what is that? Raja consensus and final analysis of the political society. So, what is that? The Rajarat local consensus included a paralegal understanding of that part of the compensation to the owners would be distributed to tenants and laborers who lost their livelihood. And then this distribution of the entire body and preview of the what the government authority need to recognize, but presupposes by accepting the political and representative recommendations. A local consensus among rival political representatives likely to affect the locally dominant interest, and then the mechanism is effective for securing demands of the political organized by could ignore even surpass demand locally marginalized interest. Uh, then the negotiations, the political society is a site of negotiation and contestation open to the by governmental agencies operate through the parallel arrangement and appeal to the moral solidarity. It brings the squalor, ugliness, and violence of popular life into power corridor, but one cannot imprison freedom within the sanitized fortress of civil society. The ideals of the popular sovereignty and the equal citizen are mediated by property and community. The states must maintain the fiction that the society belongs to civil society and equal subject of the law. The property is the conceptual name of the regularity of the law of relation in civil society. In the actual administration of governmental service, the state must recognize the deal with the fictive quality of this legal construct. This recognized result of the dual strategy regarding property. Political society employs paralegal arrangements that modify the supplement formal property structure, creating a dynamic within the modern state of the transformation of the pre-capitalist structure and pre-modern culture. So in this way, we end here. And that's how, in the last, we can say distribution of the right, paralegal status, community, and legitimacy, the dark side democratic assertion. So in this way, the last points are political societies where the struggle for the real rather than merely formal distribution of the right among the citizens take place. It is here that we discern the shift historical horizon of the political modernity in the most of the world. Para legal arrangements which modify law paper are not to be pathological condition of the retarded modernity but part of the historical constitutions of the modernity itself. The actual transactions over right and entitlement lead over time to substantial redefinition of the property and law within the actually existing modern state. Communities confer legitimacy in the modern state only in the form of nation other than solidarity and views with suspension. To make effective claim in political society, a population group produced by the governmentality must be invested within the moral context of the community. Political society involves the squalor, ugliness, and violence of the popular life. Then, crime and violence are not fixed legal categories but are open to political negotiations in the field of popular democratic practices. Period of a rapid democratic assertion by the oppressed caste in India has been accompanied by the distinct rise in public political caste violence. Now, violent movements by the deprived regional minority group are often followed by the quick and generous inclusion into the amid of the governmentality, suggesting a strategic use of illegality violence in political society. The author referred the description of the Indian democracy as a million mutiny now, but concludes that they don't have a definitive answer on the strategic use of violence. Refers to the reader to work by Thomas Blom Henson and Aditya Nigama for insight into the underground of the civil society and political violence. So, what is that? Refers the reader to work by Thomas Blom Hansen and Aditya Nigama for insight into the underground of the civil society and political violence. So that's all, and we end here now. This is how the in Indian evolving political society participation and conflict. So this the conflict will be there. The legal rights and conflict in women rights. The question arises whether women rights are best furthered by state legislation which may violate minority rights and the slow process of changing belief and practices within the minority community. So in this way, issues concerning women rights illustrates the inescapable conflict between the enlightened desire of civil society, abstract rights law, and messy contentions and often unpalatable concerns of political society. And that's what Aristotle believed not of the person were fit to govern due to lack of practical wisdom or ethical virtue, but they saw democracy as the possible under certain conditions. While modern theory rejects Aristotle's criteria, actually governmental practice are still based on the promise that not everyone can govern. Political society devise new ways for people to choose how they should be governed, often allow popular leader to take precedence over the law which Aristotle would disapprove of it. So the people are learning and forcing their governors to learn how they prefer to be governed, which the author suggests the wise Greek might agree is a good ethical justification for democracy. So that's all. We end here. Please come to this page again, listen it again, and you can, you know, share it and like it. Please comment. So thank you so much. God bless you. All the best for your exam.